Okay, I'm going through the question on this number 1 for the SA1 mock exam set 1. So the concept tested are as follows. Repeating experiment increases the reliability of the result, and frictional force act in the opposite direction of motion and movement. Lubricants, wheels, and rollers can be used to reduce frictional forces between surfaces. So usually when they are asked why you repeat the experiment 3 times or even 4 times, the answer is very straightforward. So it's here, repeating an experiment increases the reliability of the result. Okay, it's not accuracy, different. Accuracy is different from reliability. Okay, so on this diagram, you draw the frictional forces of 2 arrows because you are pushing the block upwards. Okay, the direction of force is upwards. So the block will move up the slope, but the frictional force will act in the opposite direction, as indicated by these 2 arrows. Okay, now we proceed to the next question. Which ram A or B will result in greater force needed to pull up the wooden block? So definitely answer is A, right? Right? Because here they ask you to state a reason. Okay, state a reason, you do not need to explain. So I pause for a while to let you think of the reason. Okay, let's look at part C. Which ram A or B will result in a greater force being needed to pull up the wooden block? And you have to state a reason. Okay, state is very easy. You know to give the answer, know to give the explanation. So you just state is A, because ram A is steeper than ram B. Okay, in case you are asked to give the reason, look at the diagram here. Okay, because this is steeper, right? Ram A is steeper than ram B. You can say that more force is needed to overcome the greater gravitational force pulling the block of wood downwards in ram A. More force is needed to overcome the greater gravitational force pulling the block of wood downwards in ram A than in ram B. Okay, if you are asked to give the explanation. But here, don't need, here they just state a region, you just state. Okay. Okay, next, suggest a possible way. Okay, there are actually 2 possible answers. Either you can say apply lubricant on the surface of the ram, or you can say put wheels below the block of wood. Okay, put wheels below the block of wood, because if you notice here, wheels and rollers can be used to reduce frictional force. Okay, and then part D, what must he measure to confirm his hypothesis that more force is needed to pull the wooden block up ram A? So he must measure the length of the 2 springs, but by measuring, he haven't confirmed. So he must do one additional step. Okay, the length of spring in ram A must be longer than the length of spring in ram B. Or you can say the extension of the spring in ram A must be longer than the extension of the spring in ram B. Okay, so you continue with this. This is one hypothesis which I put it here. You can look through. So a hypothesis is a prediction of the result. Okay, let's continue with next statement. Okay, question 2. I believe you have tried out, right? I give you about 2 minutes to run through, and then I will showcase the answer for you to do self-evaluation. Okay, let's look at these questions true, false. So actually, the easier way to mark is the last 4 questions are false. The last 4 questions are false, and part D is false. The rest are true. So totally, there are 5 questions that are false. The last 4 and D. Okay, I would like to explain I. Okay, part I. Okay, a stiffer spring will store less elastic potential energy when being compressed to the same length than a less stiff spring. Okay, there's a condition. Both springs have the same original length before being compressed. Okay, if a spring is stiffer, It means it is more difficult to compress, right, than a less stiff spring. So if you compress both spring to the same compressed length, the stiffer spring will store more elastic potential energy, not less. Okay, so this one is wrong. It's not less, it should be more. Okay, so that's why the answer is false. Okay, this answer is false. Take note. And the last one, this question actually it is useful to know, but it's not required for PSLE. Okay, you know kinetic energy, right? The faster an object moves, right, the greater the kinetic energy. Okay, let's say there are two objects, same mass. One travels at 2 times the speed of the other one. So the kinetic energy will increase by 4 times. Okay, by 4 times, not 2 times. So the answer is false. Okay, this one is actually you should learn in you will be learning in secondary 1. But some school they let the student know that the kinetic energy, if it increases by 2 times, if the speed increased by 2 times, kinetic energy will increase by 4 times. So if the speed increased by 3 times, the kinetic energy will increase by 9 times. It's to the power of 2. Okay, to the power of 2, like you know, in mathematics, right? Square. So this part is brief questions. The two structural adaptations of this animal, which is actually a stegosaurus, are the hard bony plates on its back and the sharp bony spikes on its tail. So just add in the word hard. Hard bony plates on its back and sharp bony spikes on its tail. Okay, this animal is cold-blooded, so and it lays eggs, it is a reptile. Okay, I return back to the question here. As I was saying, the kinetic energy, right, actually has a formula. So you can copy down this formula. Kinetic energy, Ke, right, is equals to half multiplied by the mass of the object multiplied by the speed. Okay, but speed you have to the power of 2. You know square, right? You learn mathematics, right? To the power of 2 square. So let's see if the speed is, because it's measured in meters per second. Okay, let's say 2, 2 to the power of 2, or 2 square is 4. So let's say it's 3, right? If you increase the speed by 3 times to the power of 2, 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so in other words, an object that is at a high speed, although maybe is small in size, but its kinetic energy can increase a lot, significantly, is because of this formula, the kinetic energy formula. Half multiplied by the mass in kilogram and speed in meters per second. So this formula is not needed for PSLE, but it's good to know how speed will influence or will affect the kinetic energy of the object. Okay, so let's continue for the next section.